Most contractors want to make money. The problem with that, they're not keeping it. I want to share with you the 7 steps to ensure that every job that you have pays you the money that you deserve and gets you money in your pocket. So today we're talking about the 7 steps to ensure every contracting job pays off. From nailing down your scope of work to bulletproofing your payment terms, these tips are going to help you protect your bottom line and keep your clients happy. So let's dive right into it. What's the first thing? The first thing is you have to define a clear scope of work. I can't tell you how many contractors do work with a handshake and then at the end of the job realize that they have no money left. Why? Because they keep saying yes to things and ultimately not getting paid for it. So a solid scope of work is the most important thing. Remember, it's all about clarity. If you don't define exactly what you're doing and what you're not doing, ultimately, you're going to open up yourself to something called scope creep. What is scope creep? Oh, hey, would you mind putting this additional outlet in there? Hey, would you mind painting this wall a different color? Hey, could you pour this little bit of extra concrete over and over and over again, which leads to missed deadlines and ultimately, end of the day, you guessed it, payment disputes. So create a detailed scope of work that outlines every deliverable, all the material, every milestone. Finalize it with the client. And more than anything, make sure that you have change orders in place to deal with things that are outside of your scope. What's the second thing? Well, here's the problem. You're not really good at estimating your labor and your material costs. I get it. You didn't go to school to learn how to be a project manager, and most people don't. How do they learn? The school of hard knocks. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, that didn't work. The problem is all of those lessons are ultimately costing you money, and we want you to make money. So the second thing you have to focus on is precise estimations. Have to know your numbers, right? How do we do that? Everything in your business has a number attached to it. Your labor costs, your material costs, your vehicle costs, your office costs. You have to understand what the true costs of everything is. Now, if you're paying your guy $25 an hour, that's not his true cost because you have to take into account workman's comp, insurance, any vehicle expenses, on and on and on. And if you're offering any type of comp plan, those go in there as well. So make sure when you are estimating, you're not estimating based on unreal numbers. Make sure your estimates are thorough and they're detailed and you're bidding jobs profitably to make sure at the end of the project, there's money in it for you. The third thing, we talked a little bit about this before already, is a solid contract. If you don't have a solid contract, you're opening yourself up to disputes, you're opening yourself up to lawsuits, but more importantly, you're opening yourself up to a loss of money. So what does a solid contract have in it? Number one, and most important, are the payment terms. If you don't have your payment terms laid out, then I guarantee you're going to have issues. Number two, we talked about it previously, the scope of work, making sure you understand exactly what it is that you're doing so there's no ambiguity. The third thing, timelines and deadlines. What are you getting done and when are you getting it done by? The fourth thing, we mentioned this as well, your change order process. I guarantee you, if you haven't had it yet, I don't know, maybe your eyes are closed, but every single job has some sort of change order in it. It could be a minor one. Hey, can you move this wall? Or it could be a major one. Hey, you know what? I want to add another 300 square feet to this building. Either way, make sure that your change order process is dialed in. The last piece, super important, termination and dispute resolution. Protect yourself if a client walks away or if there's a disagreement. Again, you can go on ChatGPT or online and find one, but my recommendation, find a lawyer to make sure that you cover all your bases. A lot of contractors struggle because the business they created has them feeling stuck. If you feel trapped inside your contracting business, still wearing all the hats and can't seem to get ahead, we'd love to help. We're offering a free planning session where we'll show you how to remove the chaos from your business and grow predictably. If you're interested, go to our website, www.americancontractornetwork.com, and book your free session now. The fourth one, establish payment milestones. What does that mean? That means that you need to understand that you're not in business to self-fund people's projects, right? This is part of your contract, but you need to understand the biggest pitfall for contractors and why a lot of them go out of business is they don't understand cash flow, which means they don't get paid till the very end, which means they're floating everything. And eventually you run out of money. So especially if you're working on a large project, you need to make sure that you have project payment milestones. I like to have one at the beginning, the middle, and the end. Some people like to split it up in 4. Totally get it. Your goal is to get as much money as quickly as possible, so at least you break even before you're left high and dry. The 5th one, communication is everything. Understand that even if you assume that someone understands you, they probably don't. Whether that's a spouse, a kid, an employee, a client, you have to make sure that communication is a priority. Even a great contract can fall apart if communication isn't clear. It doesn't matter if it's a weekly email update, a progress video, a quick phone call, or a text message. You have to keep your client in the loop. They have to know what's going on. If they understand what's happening, maybe they're not happy, that's okay. But ultimately, you'll be able to navigate challenges and changes much easier if you're transparent. Customers are comfortable paying for things that they understand that's happening. If you try and spring it on them, odds are you're going to have yourself a dispute resolution. Number 6, paperwork is everything. I get it. I hate paperwork. When I was working as a cop, literally I would get in trouble because my inbox would fill with papers because I didn't like paperwork. But what I quickly understood was the paperwork is power. Paperwork is clarity. Paperwork is what allows you to make the decision you need to make and ultimately protect yourself. So it doesn't matter if it's your communication with your client or your employees, invoices, change orders, receipts. It's going to seem like extra work, but you need the paperwork. The easiest thing to do is to get some type of project management software. Now, we like to use or recommend Contractor Plus, but there's a lot of different options out there. You can use a simple spreadsheet like Google's, but ultimately track your costs, track your jobs, track your issues, track your contracts, your estimates, anything that's signed. Make sure that you're tracking everything. If there's going to be an issue, whether something was done right, you can take a picture or you can record it, right? Record this because now you have something that you can fall back on. Dispute resolutions are not an if, they are a when. And if you have solid documentation in place, it will mean the difference between winning and losing that case. And number 7, last but certainly not least, a final review and a closeout. What does that look like? Well, it's a thorough closeout process. Once the work is done, whether you're a sub or whether you're a builder, doesn't matter. Once the work is done, walk through the project with your client or project manager or person that's going to sign off and say, this was done exactly the way it was supposed to be done. If there's any punch list items, deal with them, right? But then finalize your payment. The last thing you want to do is expect to get paid. You submit your invoice and then realize you're not getting paid because there's an issue. So make sure all of the deliverables have been completed to the client's satisfaction. Make sure any extras or add-ons have been documented and invoiced properly. Make sure that you have final approvals or sign-offs on everything that you do, especially before you do a lien release. Think of this like a victory lap, right? It ensures not just that you're getting paid, but also sets the stage for you to make sure that your client is happy and they'll refer more business over to you. Remember, as a contractor, your job is not to make money, it's to keep money. And if you implement these 7 steps, I guarantee you'll start not just making more money, but keeping more money in your pocket. Thanks for listening to the Success Unleashed podcast. Before we go, show some love for your favorite podcast by liking, subscribing, and leaving us a review. Until we see you again, it's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1, off you go.